Welcome to the Hosel Rockets Podcast, the #1 golf podcast for new product launches, interviews with industry experts, golf trends, and more. Here are your hosts, Jen, Ken, and Bill.
Hi, I'm Jen.
I'm Ken.
And I'm Bill.
Welcome to this week's Hosel Rockets, where we are going to talk about, looks like we have some Americana golf products. We have Neville Hong. He's going to talk to us through Voice Caddie has a very cool swing monitor. It's sort of like the TrackMan that's
Personalized though, right?
Yeah, personalized. It's something that is priced in the market that you can afford.
Personal launch monitor.
A personal launch monitor.
Yeah.
And then our Jack Bergeroni segment should be lots of fun today.
Awesome.
All right, should we dive in?
Sure.
Ken, you don't sound so good. Did you get sick?
Yes.
How'd you get sick?
Someone he knows.
Yeah.
Gave him
their name
their
rhymes
illness.
with Denifer, and they got me sick.
I'm sorry to say that.
But
Is that why you're in that lumberjack outfit today instead of some golf clothes to kind of keep warm and when you're chopping wood?
Babe the Blue Ox to work too. So
oh, good. Yeah.
Wow, real nice.
Okay. You look nice and cozy.
Yeah.
You literally
we were in a
called,
log cabin, but that's okay.
You called me a blue ox?
Whoa. He did, not me.
I know. Wow.
Yeah. Maybe I was talking about Bill.
You literally pointed at me when you called me the blue ox.
If the horns fit.
Okay. Why don't we dive in?
All right. New product line. So there's a gentleman by the name of Tom Goki.
Is this an actual new product line or is it a new to us?
It's new and new to us both. So,
okay.
Tom Goki, he actually played on the Santa Barbara golf team with my brother Tom, and went to work immediately after college with OGO Golf, which if you guys are familiar with OGO, they make a huge variety of golf bags, but are even bigger outside of golf. So they make motocross bags, backpacks, travel gear, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so Tom worked a number of different years with them and kind of learned the fabric and luggage business really well. Earlier this year, broke off and has started his own company called Subtle Patriot. And all of the bags are kind of in line with kind of American themed here. So for those watching us on video, you'll be able to see some of these designs. If you're listening to us, the guys can kind of describe what they've got in their hands there. So
Nice. I have a cool magnetic closure putting putter head cover, and it's got a big American eagle on the top in white and a kind of a muted American flag colors of red, white, and blue and stripes going across the putter cover itself.
Mine is, nice. I think it's probably the same design, but it sort of reminds, it's very Washington, D.C. looking, red, white, and blue. Kind of reminds me of, what was the movie? This is where I start.
A Few Good Men?
No.
Oh.
What was the movie with Nicolas Cage where National Treasure?
National Treasure.
It's sort of a National Treasure-esque type of looking putter cover. It says Liberty and Justice for All. It has that little eye that's in the triangle that you see on dollar bills. It has a picture of the Capitol. It has a picture of the Lincoln Memorial on it. It's pretty fun. It reminds me of something that would be a really great gift for someone that's in the military.
Totally, and that's kind of, it's a good lead into the next piece. The coolest part about this company, I think, is that all of the sales of this proceeds go to a veterans group called Boots to Suits. Mm-hmm. And it's the presenting sponsor of a group that donates, and again, a portion of all of the proceeds to everything they sell goes to support this program, which helps train and employ veterans and move them from military life into business life. And if you look on their the website of the charity, it's based out of Pennsylvania and Virginia area over there, but they actually help transition vets and help it make it easier, kind of moving them from military life into civilian life. And so not only are you getting these really cool head covers and putter covers, and we've got a couple golf bags here too that I'll throw out here. So they've got a cool black one that has some stripes and stars on it, and then Jen has another one here that has that same kind of bold red, white, and blue image on it. But they make cart bags, they make stand bags. They even have a ladies version that's kind of this cool Tiffany blue color. But kind of you're doing a good cause with the purchase of a bag. I think that's kind of cool.
It is. And every thing that Ken just mentioned is on the tags for those listening that are attached to each product. So the putter cover talks all about boots to suits. The golf bag has it on there.
And the company is Settle Patriot. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I think anything we can do to help support our military is really good. And I know that there's a lot of, we had PJ Hope in here last week. I know there's a lot of difficulty among a lot of veterans when they return. So anything we can do to help support our military, I think is a positive.
Yep.
This isn't the best transition, but before we move on to invite our guests, since we are still in the holiday season, I thought maybe we could just real fast talk through what our favorite holiday themed movies are. I know I'm just kind of throwing us out there. The reason why I'm saying this is, did you guys know that Die Hard has officially, I don't know who officially stated this, but officially
Christmas movie.
Been claimed a Christmas movie, although
Yippee-yi-yay.
Are you going to finish it?
No.
I remember us going and
This
seeing
is a
that.
family podcast, isn't it?
Where did we see that? We saw that together. I feel like that was in Atlanta or someplace.
No, that would have been
probably the Capitol Theater.
Die Hard came out in '88, and we weren't in Atlanta until 1990. So.
Yeah.
Didn't we see that together? Maybe.
Could have been.
I don't know. What are you guys' favorite movies? I was
going to name that.
Okay.
Because Die Hard's long been, it's been a fun, controversy. Is it a Christmas movie or not? So, I mean, I think it can go on that list. But anyway, for the more traditional ones, would you say Elf?
I like Elf. I like Love Actually, because I'm into chick flicks.
That's a Christmas movie?
It's totally a Christmas movie.
I've never seen it, but I didn't realize that had a Christmas thing. I did not know that.
I would say
we've already watched it this Christmas season.
Oh, wow.
So,
lucky you, Kenny.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, well, and if you look at mine, I Die Hard, Elf, Love Actually are sort of kind of a pretty big gamut of movies right there. Those would be probably my top three. What about you guys?
I'll go with classic. The original Miracle on 34th Street.
That is such a good. That's such a great movie. Yeah, I absolutely would agree with you on that. I love
Little
that
Natalie
movie.
Wood.
Oh my gosh.
Ed Gwynn.
Love that movie.
Actually.
I haven't seen that movie in years.
Yeah. What else is great? Oh, what about Home Alone? That's a Christmas movie, right?
That is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I always, we love watching the Charlie Brown specials with the kids. That's kind of a
Charlie Brown Christmas
classic.
Classic.
I mean, it's not really a movie, but I really like the original Grinch. Though that's so fun too.
Yeah,
How the Grinch.
And then they ruined it with the next live action version of it.
We were watching the one that came out. I don't know, last year or the year before. That one wasn't too bad, I didn't think. With the
it was a good redemption over the
live
live action one for sure.
Not as great as the original, but I didn't think that was too bad. Yeah. What's the one with the leg?
Christmas Story. Yeah.
Does that make you guys' list? This seems like something you guys would like.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
I know you think you categorize it in the category of Caddyshack. You're not crazy about it.
I haven't seen it in a really long time. I saw it in the theaters when I was a little girl, and I didn't love it. And I'm not sure I've seen it all the way through. I did see the Broadway show version of
musical. Which is touring right now.
And I just saw that. Yeah. And actually, I thought that was really good. I really enjoyed that, the musical version. So I thought maybe I should give the movie another shot.
I'll call out our graphic designer that works for us. Her name's Mary. She lives down in Southern California. It's one of her favorites, and I bought her the leg lamp for a Christmas present a few years back.
The full size?
It's like kind of a miniature version of it, but yeah, so and she has it proudly out during the holidays.
So I go walking every evening. I walk 3 to 5 miles every night. And there's a house not too far from our neighborhood that is proudly displaying the full size lamp
in the window.
Which I think is pretty hilarious, personally.
Yeah, I should get one for your house. I'm sure.
No, I was going to say
Angie would love to have that.
You should buy one for Jennifer. That should be on Jennifer's Christmas list. It sounds like.
Yeah.
A couple more classics. It's a Wonderful Life, Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's like the original Christmas movie. And I had another one, and now I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
What about Wizard of Oz? But that, I mean, it's not a Christmas
No.
movie, but I feel like that comes on.
It used to always
It used
be
to come on
televised.
all the time.
But in
at
today's
Christmas
day and
time.
age, you can
You
watch
don't see
anytime.
it, right.
It would come on every Christmas or Easter, that kind of a thing.
Right.
On new Disney Plus, we just watched. There's a new one called Noel, starring.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's really average.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
you can skip that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think it was very good.
No.
All right. Do you have any? You didn't really add much to this conversation.
All right. Good. I'm kind of an equipment guy, if you haven't noticed.
All right. Well, with that, I think we should introduce our guest. There's not going to be a lot of continuity if you're watching this on video because we filmed this episode.
since we're all wearing these awesome Christmas outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I filmed the middle section actually yesterday. We had Neville Hong in studio. He is the CEO of Voice Caddie, and he came in yesterday to share with us the Swing Caddie and to tell all about this personal launch monitor, which I think you guys are going to think is pretty cool. It takes a lot of the capabilities of the, how much is a TrackMan launch monitor that we use here?
$20,000 to $25,000.
Okay. It takes a lot of, almost all of that functionality and puts it in your fingertips in a size that runs just a few $100s. So stay tuned, and in just a moment we're going to have Neville on set with us.
Ken and I are going to step out real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I want to introduce Neville Hong. He's the CEO of Voice Caddie, which is the company behind Swing Caddie. And before we dive into Swing Caddie device, I want to really go over why everyone really needs to pick up this device. And really, if you are into practicing and getting the most of your time on the driving range, this is the device for you. You do not need to go out and buy a bunch of whatchamadoodles and gadgets for your clubs. You don't need to buy a bunch of apps for your smartphone. You need this one little device, and it is going to give you so much data, so much stuff. It's basically your own personal swing monitor right at your disposal. It uses Doppler radar, and it is super affordable. And as we head into the holidays, really everyone needs to pick one of these up. And I think you're the best person to just dive in and tell us all about this really cool gadget.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's hear about it.
Sure. Again, thanks for having me,
Yeah,
Jennifer.
of course.
I've been coming up here to Hagen Oaks for so many years now, and we're so grateful for the partnership that we have. Thank you.
Of course.
In terms of launch monitor and the metrics that come out, I think it's pretty evident everywhere where you watch on sports these days. I mean, when you're watching baseball now, TrackMan, these very expensive launch monitors are now tracking ball speed, launch angle, distance traveled. Golf tournaments as well too. You know, when you got Tiger Woods teeing up, all of a sudden you're going to have all of that data.
Everybody wants as much information as possible.
Right, and we were one of the first ones to be able to bring this in a portable, affordable, and carry it with you type of packaging. We almost like to consider our product, even though it's a high technology product, almost as a training aid too. The whole purpose and I think impetus behind it was to be able to have a launch monitor that you can just pull out of your golf bag that's sitting there with your tees, prop it up, and start hitting away a bucket of range balls. And I think what we've come to realize is maybe 4 or 5 years ago, fitting was still a little bit more exotic, maybe for the better player, but more and more people are realizing how important customization, understanding distances, understanding every single piece of your golf game, your swing, your analytics can really help you with your game in immeasurable forms.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in this day and age now, again, understanding what your swing speed is, making adjustments can help you understand what type of equipment is best for you, but also in certain situations of your game, how you can adjust that to better manage your game. Ball speed is another important element. I mean, you can see, I think, immediately the ball speed is a measure of that performance, how well you hit the ball. And so we're talking about smash factor. For those
I mean, that's a big word, a term that a lot of people use is smash
factor, true. And smash factor is, again, another term that's maybe still a little bit exotic, but it's actually not much. All it is swing speed as divided into ball speed. So that ratio is what smash factor is. So for instance, if your swing speed was 100 miles per hour and your ball speed that netted as a result of it was 150, your smash factor then is 1.5 times. It's a reciprocal of that. So
and what's a good smash factor?
Well, when you're with your driver, 1.5 is at what they say is that peak, based on USGA rules of the COR effect on the driver and hitting it. They call it smash factor because your objective is to hit it right there in the middle on your sweet spot. So on a driver, the objective is obviously 1.5. That becomes important because when you're playing with this launch monitor, practicing with this launch monitor indoors, like in your garage, especially if you live in a cold, environment, you put up your net, you put this launch monitor behind you, you start swinging away, and right away you have your feedback. Not just the swing speed, not just how far I hit that drive, but also that smash factor. Did I hit it square? Did I hit it right? And again, especially if you're living in a winter environment, being able to use the Swing Caddie indoors is a big benefit.
And I think a lot of people think, I felt like that, that felt good. And I mean, balls, you can get some feedback on how something feels, but getting actual data really is how you make improvements to your game.
Correct. That's also evident by carry distances, perhaps the element of the Swing Caddie that people find most important. Because I was having a conversation this morning. A few years ago, I read a Wall Street Journal article that I was taken aback by. And they were talking in there about most golfers do not recognize that they underhit the green, not overhit the green. Because obviously we're programmed to think that, all right, our 7-iron goes 150 yards. I'm 150 yards out. I'm going to pull out my 7-iron. That's if you hit it well. It's going to go 150 yards, and most amateur golfers don't hit it perfectly most of the time. So by practicing with the Swing Caddie, it's going to help you understand what your actual average distance is and be able to compensate.
That's such a perfect point to make. I mean, because you're right. I think every single time I've been, because everyone knows I'm not a huge golfer myself, but every time I go out on the golf course with golfers, we're always going before the green. You're very rarely going past that green and coming back to it. I mean, everyone's laying up. I mean, so what an opportunity here with this to truly get a true indication of how far you're hitting that club.
Right, and that's what the average distance feature does real well. A lot of people, when they come get fitted here, or when they first try out the launch monitor, it's all about taking out that driver. How far does my driver go? But ultimately, where a launch monitor is most helpful for you is in dialing in your average distances, but also in your short game. Driver is a lot easier because you pull out that driver and you just hit it as fast and hard and as straight as you can. But with your short irons, you're trying to dial in average distances, shorter distances, and a lot of times you have to compensate, by the power you put into it. So muscle memory is attained too when you're using a launch monitor. It's with the short irons where it's actually really helpful. If you're going for that kind of 90 to 120 yards with your pitching wedge or your gap wedge, and you're trying to understand, what club is best and at what strength that you insert into it, by practicing with the Swing Caddie, by practicing at the range, indoors, wherever with it, you're able to much better ascertain that.
I mean, at least half of your shots are, 120 yards and in. So, I mean, that's definitely not part of that game that you want to be not thinking about and not focusing on.
Correct.
Can we take one of these and you just show us the different pieces of it that it has?
Well, the Runaway Success product was the first Swing Caddie, the Swing Caddie SC100 and the SC200, and I would say those are the number one launch monitors still sold, probably worldwide. I mean, you have your $25,000, what they say, professional launch monitors and
The
stuff.
TrackMans, which are what, when you go to get professionally fit,
Exactly.
is typically what are
Obviously
used.
not portable, not very expensive. By the way,
Not what we're talking about here today. It's not what we're
Correct.
trying to sell you on here.
but at the same time, we've done extensive test work with this against those professional grade launch monitors,
Sure.
and from golf laboratories to all kinds of measures. You'd be very surprised at how exact it was, dead on with the TrackMan.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Can
it
I
is-
ask?
it is
I mean,
pretty
how
impressive.
close are we?
Well, for instance, we have one that's published. Golf Laboratories is kind of the sounding board for independent test studies, even with all the major brand drivers. When you advertise 6 yards longer, you'll see the disclaimer,
Yeah.
as tested by Golf Laboratories. Or there's some tee companies that claim more yardage as well too, and the basis of those results have been all from Golf Laboratories. So we did a very expensive Golf Laboratories test, and for instance, at the upper echelons of carry distance for drivers, we're talking 290, 300, 310 yards. There were a few competitors that, when you start getting to that type of carry distance range, that were not able to register.
Wow.
Swing Caddie, what was exceptional about it, was able to register at those levels. Likewise, when you're talking about the short game, wedges, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, most competitors cannot register. The Swing Caddie's been really exceptional at that under 50 yardage distance as well too. But one example of a test measure was the 7-iron, and we programmed that robot at 150 yards, and TrackMan's average was 150. No, sorry, it was 149.4. Programmed at 150, so plus minus 1 yard.
Yeah.
Swing Caddie was actually 150.1.
Wow.
And I have all of that raw data.
Wow.
So dead on. Likewise, the carry distance that I have at the top of my head from a driver is 290. And it was like, TrackMan's was 290.5. Swing Caddie's was right there as well too. So pretty darn accurate.
So
Yeah.
and then how do you use it exactly? If you were to get this, I mean, and for those that are listening on podcasts, I mean, it's basically if you take your hand and just hold up your hand, I mean, it's about this.
Size of an iPhone Plus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, it pretty much fits in the size of your hand. It's a little bit wider than your typical phone, but about the same size.
Correct. And right here you see carry distance, swing speed, ball speed, and smash factor. And there's been some changes from the SC100 to the SC200. The SC200 started integrating voice output of distance.
245
So if you want to just start hitting away at that bucket of balls and not look back, or then you'll be able to get your distance audibly.
And this is the Swing Caddie.
This is the SC200 Plus. So from the SC200, it started integrating voice. The other area of added integration for the SC200 was the barometric pressure sensor. So when you're in low-level elevations and high humidity like Florida, or if you're in the mile-high city Denver and the thinner air, it's going to subtly account for that as well too.
Okay,
based
this
on
is
altitude.
this is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
What this little thing has. That's
For
quite
what's
a bit.
under
I know.
$350, $400,
Yeah.
right? So it's got those features in it. The SC200 Plus integrated what is called a swing speed only mode. So you're able to, just with practice swings without hitting your ball, if you're all about trying to increase your swing speed and practice, and you can just do a swing speed only mode as well too. There's some dedicated products towards that. There's some competitors like Swing Speed Radar, for instance, just registers swing speed. We've been able to integrate that into the Swing Caddie SC200 Plus as well too. You'll see this with quite a ugly orange screen as compared to the latest and greatest iPhones and and different tablets out there. That's because this screen here is the most optimal when you're outdoors in direct sunlight.
I was gonna say to me,
Yeah.
it seems like this would be pretty easy to see, even
it
if
almost
you're
feeds off
outside.
of the sunlight,
Okay.
which is really great. So that's part of the Swing Caddie. You get this little tripod here, you prop it up, you put it 4.5 feet behind you, and you're ready to go start playing. Some of these electronics devices and stuff, I like to say they're almost there. I mean, there's some great analytical devices out there, but I find myself not using them personally because you have to turn it on, connect it, battery sources, etc., wires, and it just becomes kind of cumbersome. Whereas with the Swing Caddie, you just turn it on. After you take it out of your bag, 4.5 feet behind you, you're just ready to start playing. And it's got this remote here. You do tell it what course club you're using, whether from a driver to a 7-iron to an 8-iron with this remote control here. You're also able to go into what's called the stats mode. There's different modes from practice, also to a random mode. So what random mode does, it starts challenging you to go for 80 yards, to go for 110 yards. So instead of a monotonous, I'm just going to hit my driver, I'm just going to hit my 5-iron, you're trying to dial in a certain distance, and you get points for that as well too. So it's got your stats in here, it's got those different features and modes in here.
So it has sort of a gamification feature to it, which is kind of fun as well.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
And again, we like to keep this product, in all of its design, inherently we like to kind of call it the Apple of golf. Every single product that you see in our lineup is all about that simple ease. Just turn it on and play.
So that's the SC200 Plus, and then you have a
SC300.
All right, so what's the difference there? This one's a little bit more robust looking.
Good question as well too. So in our goal for ultimate simplicity, this is not even a connected device. So you don't have to have your phone, you don't have to have anything with it. Your stats are stored in there, it's standalone. A lot of people love that. What the SC300 does is now there is an app and there is an interface. Now we still kept it pure.
This one looks like an entire computer system. I will say, if you're just listening to us, this one looks like, more like an iPad.
True. But it's more iPad mini.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's still small.
It's still small. And again, we have an app, which I'll talk about as well too. But what's so great about this is, again, we wanted to keep the purity of what Swing Caddie exemplifies, which is being able to use it without the app as well too.
Okay.
Turn it on and play. And again, you see the same screen that's optimized for outdoor settings and stuff. But now with the Swing Caddie SC300, you have the carry distance, you have the swing speed, you have the ball speed, you have smash factor. It also integrates now apex. It also integrates launch angle here as well too, which is very important. Within the app, we also have spin as well too. All kinds of stat storage, all kinds of analytics that can complement your Swing Caddie here as well too. But again, what makes this so great is a lot of our competitors on the portable side, you have to, for instance, put stickers on the ball for it to read. We don't require that as well. Tammy, you mentioned Jennifer, the Doppler sensor in here. It's so powerful where we don't require having to put that sticker on there. A lot of our competitors, it specifically states you can't use that product indoors. Well, that's a lot of our consumers have been very happy with the fact that they can practice indoors, or some products you have to put 8 feet behind you in order for it to read. That's in the middle of an aisleway of a driving range when this is right behind the mat. I think another neat factor is some of our competitors, you also have to use a phone with it. No product out there like, this past summer I was in Palm Springs and I was poolside with my kids and I had my iPhone out there, and a few minutes later I see that dreaded red light. I'm like, did I do something? You can't turn it on because the heat, the sunlight, intense heat is going to prevent that. So even the Swing Caddies, after a few hours in direct sunlight, you're going to have it's going to be susceptible. Any electronics product that you get, it's going to have temperature requirements.
I'm sorry, but after a few hours in the sunlight, I'm going to have temperature requirements.
That's right. But the Swing Caddie does really well a few hours out in the sunlight. But when you have some of these products where you have to integrate and utilize the phone as well too, imagine in the summer heat what happens, and of course the battery drain and everything as well too. The Swing Caddie SC200 series has these AAA batteries in there, which is the best for ultimate portability because you can always have a set of extra batteries with you. This day and age, rechargeable batteries are the same price as alkaline batteries.
Absolutely.
So you can always charge that and have that handy with you.
I find that to be my preference.
Well, and actually, and that's a really nice point, because that was one of the things I was going to ask about. I did a feature earlier today on GPS units and rangefinders, and so many of those batteries are not replaceable.
Correct.
So once the batteries are dead, the unit's dead. Correct. So the fact that these are replaceable batteries is a really nice feature.
And that's what it is on the SC200. On the SC300, it actually does have a lithium rechargeable battery, but very long battery life. You're going to get about 20 hours out of it. When a product is using GPS, like you mentioned, and we have a lineup of GPS products as well too, it does use a lot of battery drain, and it performs very admirably if you can get 2 rounds out of it. With the Swing Caddie, you get many, many hours of that as well too, and you have this battery meter here, and charge it once, and you'll be able to get many range sessions out of it as well too. So that's the SC300.
Yeah, what's the price point on that?
The retail price is $549.
Okay.
Again, it does integrate the app, comes with a remote, and then the SC200 Plus right now is $399.
And both of these, I believe you can get on our sponsor site, MortonGolfSales.com, or you can come into Hagen Oaks if you are local in the Sacramento area and pick them up.
Exactly.
What is new or coming down the line with you guys?
A lot. I like to consider and say that Voice Caddie, it was founded in Korea, as you know, one of the technological hot centers of the world right now. And Korea is a very golf fanatical country right now. I don't know if you read a Golf Digest article last year, but it talked about 15,000 golf simulators in Korea.
Oh my goodness.
Bear in mind, South Korea is smaller than Southern California. California has 1,000 golf courses. The United States has 17,000 golf courses. Korea has just under 500 golf courses, but it's the 3rd largest golf market in the world.
Wow.
If you behind United States, behind Japan. If you put that into perspective, the 4th largest golf market in the world has 2,400 golf courses. The United Kingdom, or Canada, has over 2,500. Much smaller golf market. So that's how much Koreans are golf fanatics. That's why the whole kind of phenomenon of the golf simulators, I mean, you see them across from each other in the city and stuff like that too. There's actually 300 golf fitters in Central Seoul alone, fitting shops.
Oh my goodness.
That was 5 years ago.
Wow.
And in America, we're just now starting to see that fitting kind of
right.
phenomenon grow. So Voice Caddie, being the technological leader in golf, I mean, there's technological training aids, launch monitors, GPS units. I don't have it here today, but the namesake came because of Voice Caddie was the first one to have a little voice output GPS that you put on the bill of your cap. So you press the button, voice, that's a caddy. That's thereby their namesake. Now, with these watches I have here today, I'll start with the G2 watch. Now this is under $200. Now there are multiple under $200 watch offerings out there, but what makes this what makes the G2 different? One major feature makes the G2 at one level and the rest of the competition is another. And that's that it integrates slope. It's the world's only slope integrated GPS watch. So it has a barometric pressure sensor in here as well too. And as you go along the golf course, depending on where you're at, it's going to compensate for that. So you can turn that on and off to make so
it's legal for tournament.
Legal for turn play, but it's the world's only slope compensated GPS watch.
That is
Not
impressive.
a lot of people know that. And it's been hot for the people that have found out about it. I'm glad to be able to come here and to communicate that to your Morton Golf Sales, customer member base, because it's kind of almost a hidden secret.
Absolutely,
right now,
that's brand new.
There. Yeah.
Very cool.
So that's the G2 slope watch. The G1 watch is pretty neat in and of itself. You compare this against other watches, you'll see how easy it is. And that's primarily because of the automatic course and hole recognition. A lot of competitors, you have to tell it what hole you're on and constantly looking at it. I've always been about just turn it on and play.
Yeah.
So you'll see that simplicity. What makes this watch different, this has slope as well too integrated, is green undulations. Nobody else has done this. And so we do have the layouts, but having green undulations at many of the golf courses across the country and the world allows for you to see the contours of the green. And this is, again, USGA approved as well, too, because of contours. There's a big publicity about green undulations and stuff like that all over.
Right.
And this is USGA legal. And where this helps you, a lot of people think, hey, well, how is this going to help me on my putting game? Well, we don't expect users to go to the green and look at their watch and measure their green breaks. Yes, it can help to that degree, but where it helps you the most and where it's designed is in your approach game.
Right.
So if you're 120 yards out, if you watched the U.S. Open last year, you saw balls just flying off the green, you'll be able to see, and utilize this in your game management as well, too. So this is a very unique watch in that manner as well, too. And this is $299, right?
Very cool. And these are out now?
These are out. Yes.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
this
you
week.
as well,
We
too.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen.
And
Enjoyed it.
thank you. And with that, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, and we'll be back with our latest episode of Jack Burgeroni Experience. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, Bill here. I wanted to pause real quick to thank our sponsor, MortonGolfSales.com. Morton Golf Sales is the #1 online retailer for all your golfing needs. From the newest clubs on the market to the classics that you can't find anywhere else, Morton Golf Sales has the best products and customer service at the lowest possible prices. Want to check out their huge online inventory of clubs, clothing, golf balls, accessories, and save 12% on your first order? Just use coupon code ROCKETS at checkout on MortonGolfSales.com. Exclusions apply. See site for details. Now, back to the show. Mom's Beef Hash has a first name. It's from a Can We See.
But we all have another name. We call it untasty.
We hate to eat it every day.
And if you ask us why, we'll say, 'cause Mama's hash tastes like trash and we should feed it to the dog. Welcome to the Jack Burgeroni Experience.
Welcome back to the Jack Burgeroni Experience.
All right.
I'm not going to tell you what Jack Burgeroni is, so don't ask.
All right.
Let's dive in.
I am going to bring it in someday so that somebody has a clue what this is.
I think we just have your mom come.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay, so let's talk through what our favorite sports teams are, whatever you want to, wherever this takes us. And Bill, I'm going to have you start.
Oh, no, I was going to say, why don't you start, Jen, with all your favorite extra
My favorite
favorites.
would be the Giants.
Oh, okay.
Giants would be my first, and then...
New York Giants football team?
No,
Oh.
San Francisco Giants, and then my second favorite would be the Chicago Cubs, both of which are just going to be for sentimental reasons. San Francisco would be because we're out of Sacramento, and so that was sort of our local team. And when I was growing up, I would watch baseball games with my dad. And then Chicago Cubs comes into play simply because when my parents got divorced, my dad lived in the Chicago area for a while, and we would go see baseball games in Chicago.
You went to Wrigley Field?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Lots of times. Back when Harry Carey would sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and even back then, as a kid, I recognized how cool and iconic that was, and that is just such an amazing, awesome field that even to this day, I think it's just such a neat. It's such
Should
a
be
neat
on
place.
your bucket list if you're
Yeah,
Major
Wrigley-
League Baseball fan
Yeah.
and somewhere you
Wrigley
want to go.
Field.
She and I
Yes.
went later and saw a game in the early 90s, and it's, as iconic as the field is, the stadium itself is not that special. I mean, it's fairly antiquated and small.
It's
and
beautiful, though.
but there's so much history in there
Yeah,
that you just
exactly.
you can feel it walking around. It's pretty cool.
I think the stadium is gorgeous, to be honest. I love all the ivy on the wall, and
Yeah.
I think it's a great field. So So, Bill, I do have an answer for
You
it,
did.
and I have reasons to back up why
You put
I
me
like
back
those
in my
teams.
place, so,
yeah.
yeah.
So there you go.
Good job for once.
But only with baseball. She didn't say any other teams.
Oh,
Well, we're starting with baseball.
All right,
did she know
okay.
she was talking about baseball?
Probably,
Okay.
maybe hockey.
All right.
Okay.
I did. All right.
All right.
Move on. Go for it.
Greatest
Bill.
team in the NFL ever.
Wait, I thought we were talking baseball.
No, you said sports
So
teams
You
and
say
favorites.
favorite teams.
Gosh. Okay. Moving on.
The Denver Broncos. Okay, enough said.
Why?
Because it's my favorite.
Why?
They're the best. Just
You have
ever.
to back it up for some reason. You
No,
can't just
so-
say it.
They have been my favorite football team since I knew what football was.
Last year.
Since I was 5, and I'm very old. We already talked about how old I am. So
I would like to say I have seen you throw a football. So.
That was back when they were playing in the AFL.
All right. Yeah, I get that. Go ahead. Make fun of the big fat guy. Get that.
Not where we're going with
Fun of me.
this.
All right, I get that. So, anyway,
Why
back
would
to
I
my
stop
favorite
now?
team.
Yeah.
The Broncos have been my favorite team. I have been a lifelong fan. My earliest years exposure to the Broncos is because we lived in Colorado Springs. My dad was in the service, finishing up his time after 30 years. And so I had Denver Broncos paraphernalia all over my room. It's who I've loved since the beginning. Even when we moved back to California, everyone was a 49ers fan up and down Northern California, and they've had a lot of amazing success, obviously, as well. But I've been through Denver's worst times and their best times, most recently winning Super Bowl 50 with Peyton Manning. So I've just loved them forever. Been a loyal fan through all their awful
He was
Super
impossible to live with for like 2 weeks after they won.
Oh
too,
yeah, but
so
when they
Were
finally
you
won,
living with?
Yeah.
Wait, were you living with Bill?
practically
yeah,
here at
when
work.
they finally
so.
won in '98 was incredible.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl '98 after the '97 season.
Typically, that's when '98 would.
Yeah, I
happen.
know. I just want to make sure for non-football fans like Jennifer, just explaining what
people
that
that
is.
I would
Tell
still
time.
be able to figure out when
So-
'98 season got
Well,
here.
and as a matter of fact, the Broncos won back-to-back Super Bowls in the next season, which was
Let me guess. 2002.
I don't know. I think wait a minute. Yeah, did they win? Yeah, they won. Oh, in the '98 season, they won the '99 Super Bowl. Does that make sense? I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. All I know is that I've been a lifelong fan. The Denver Broncos are not doing so well right now, but I'm still a fan. So that's my
That's your favorite
outside
baseball
of
team.
that's outside of golf, one of my favorite sports teams.
Gotcha. All right, are you gonna?
Kenny's got all kinds of things. We could
I
be here
know.
for a while.
We
So
could.
So the year is 1979.
Oh boy, we are gonna be here
Wow.
for a while.
everybody just tuned out.
I'm 7 years old. I'm in my formative.
Wearing your underoos.
Yeah, wearing my underoos.
How old are you?
I'm.
He said he was 7 when
I
he was
know.
wearing it.
This is how little she listens to me.
Yeah.
Just
She
tunes
tunes
me
out.
out, even in the middle of a podcast. So
She knows how old you appear these days.
yeah, exactly. So in the 1979 World Series, the Orioles were playing the Pirates, and I was passionate about baseball as a kid. I mean, super passionate. And my dad bet me 50 cents that the Orioles would beat the Pirates, and so he and I
And
sat
50
down.
cents today is what, $1,000?
Yeah, probably. So so I watched every game, every minute of every game with him that particular World Series, and the Pirates went down 3-1 and stormed back and won, and with Dave Parker and Willie Stargell and Omar Moreno and John Candelario and just the whole team, and I was
Wow.
hooked
Name dropping.
from the Pirates from then on. And who would have ever thought that that was the last thing that they would ever win all these years later? So
How do they do nowadays?
Jennifer says all the time that she knows I will forever be the most faithful of husbands because I've never deviated from loving the Pirates. And
Well, we haven't even started talking about who your favorite NFL team is.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it has just been compounded year after year after decade of misery watching these poor schmucks play baseball. So, but they're going to do it someday, and then I'm going to be happiest person in the whole land.
Hey, look at the
So,
Chicago Cubs.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So-
What about your favorite NFL team?
So that would be the Detroit Lions. About that same time, Billy Sims was coming out of college out of Oklahoma and was just so much fun to watch. And got drafted by the Lions, and that ended up being my favorite football team. And then obviously later on Barry Sanders, and but again they have never won a championship. So remember that movie Misery with Kathy Bates when she actually broke his legs there? Mm-hmm. That's me lying in the bed as a sports fan.
Wait, you literally just spoiled the movie for...
Yeah. Yeah, that 20-year-old movie that, broke the ending on there.
I think that's, that's 1992 or so. That's more than 20 years old.
Yeah. So between that and the Sacramento Kings, who are our local favorite basketball team, and they haven't won anything since they've been in Sacramento. I'm 0 for 4 decades, so
it's okay.
So basically, if there's any teams that would like to win a championship, you might
don't
want
have
to.
Ken Jr.
Yeah,
as a fan.
You want to write in and ask Ken not to.
We should start a GoFundMe maybe to actually increase the amount of money that the Pirates are paying their players, so they can go sign a free agent.
I would say they should just ask you to stop
rooting for them.
At least Jennifer and I are fans of teams that have actually won a championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I sent my boys a text last night because they're big baseball fans too. The contract that Garrett Cole just signed with the Yankees day before yesterday is more money than the Pirates have spent in free agency over the last 25 years combined.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow. That is an incredible stat.
Hey,
is that amazing?
You have actually an interesting baseball card story that I want to talk about real fast because for when our kids were little, you and I got into baseball card collecting for a while just because it was cheap.
I did it as a kid, so yeah.
Yeah, and then when we were dating, we did it for a while together.
Because you wanted those little pink sticks of gum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We liked gum.
That was the most stale gum in the history of gum. Right. Yes.
And then we would send off the baseball cards and ask for signatures, and it was...
Yeah, so I would take a card and I would mail it to the stadium with a self-addressed stamp envelope and have them send back and then share them with the kids, and they'd collect and be able to get autographs that way. So.
Some guy in the office would just sign somebody's name.
And he never shared them with the kids. He's just saying that, but whatever.
No, they have some of them. So anyways, we stopped doing that probably
20 years ago.
Last year. Oh, go on.
So...
And just to give you an idea of this, our oldest child is 22, so you can see how much of this got shared with our kids. But go ahead.
So last year, I go to the mailbox, and a self-addressed envelope in my handwriting shows up with one of these baseball cards 20 years after I mailed it off to Shea Stadium.
No way.
Legit.
Yeah, John Franco of the New York Mets, who's been retired for 20 years, signed it and sent it back. And I don't know if it got lost in USPS, if it got lost at Shea Stadium.
What kind
if
of stamps did it have on it? Stamps have gone up tenfold.
It did. It got sent back with the original low value stamp on it. But I got this baseball card 20 years after I mailed it.
We posted on Reddit, but no one believed him.
Yeah.
Isn't
that wild?
An awesome story. Yeah. I've not heard that before. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool story. Okay, what are your other favorite sports? For me...
Favorite sports? Is eating a sport?
Yes.
Okay. Because
we
got a lot of championships to talk about.
I'm a world champion, finally!
I'm super not into a lot of sports until the Olympics come around, and then I'm mega fan. Every 4 years.
I love watching that guy try to attempt the pommel horse.
Yeah.
When he runs right into it.
Well, it's such a unique event too because they're playing this sport up until 5 minutes ago you never knew existed and then they do this 5-minute profile on a guy from a country in a town you've never heard of.
Right.
And after the profile you're like, please let him win. You know.
I know, from sun up to sundown, it's like I can't get enough of every sport on the face of the planet that I've never heard of or couldn't care less about, or equestrians. It doesn't even matter. It's like
or
I'm all in.
5 minutes after the event. So
yeah. Exactly. I'm all in. What about you guys? Hockey, baseball. I know you're not a big baseball person. Baseball is all that my family talks about 24/7 in our house during that season.
I loved baseball when I was younger. St. Louis Cardinals fan, again, lifelong, because my dad grew up in St. Louis, and so he brought that to our family, and so I rooted for them always, and it was tough went to a lot of games at Candlestick Park because they would play the Giants often. Always rooting for the red and white instead of the Giants when I was a kid. But yeah, it's not something I'm super involved with these days.
all girls at your house. That's probably one of the reasons why.
Part of it.
Yeah.
We're big into soccer just because we have kids that are,
Badminton, play a lot of badminton.
Yeah. Clearly golf is where most of our worlds revolve around. So
that being said,
Clearly.
I mean, I know Jack Nicklaus is your all-time favorite. Are there players on the tour right now that you guys
I think we've talked about that too, right?
well, now would be the time where you could just
your
mention it.
undying devotion to Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, I
don't
love
know
Phil
if we
Mickelson.
have talked about that.
We have. I'm sure we did.
All right.
Just
Why?
You guys made fun of me.
We never make fun of you.
Always.
I'll make fun of you.
That's why I'm sitting over here.
Yeah.
Because Phil's an amazing champion, and he gives back to the fans. That's what I love most about him. Whether you, it's important that professional golfers acknowledge all the fans that really make them what they are, and I just think that is a lesson learned from way back in the days with Arnold Palmer. He's would teach that to all the incoming tour players, and I talked about Jack, following Jack, getting his autograph, and he just engages with everyone, and Phil's the same way. Big smiles and lots of autographs signed and lots of time spent with fans is critically important to me for the players doing that. So that's one reason I really like Phil.
Years ago, we had an opportunity back when the Jack Nicklaus Equipment Company was going in Palm Beach. We got invited to kick off that new venture, and Bill and I got to
be right there.
Be right there in their factory with, probably only maybe 40, 50 other retailers.
Media,
yeah, there. And so we, Bill was from about us to the camera away from Jack as he was talking about this new venture, and you would have thought that he had died and gone to
Pretty
golf
much.
heaven. It was very, very fun.
Followed Jack out when it was all done, just watching him get into his Lincoln Town car and drive away on his own. I think I tried to latch onto the bumper.
Yeah, Bill running after it. Jack, don't leave me, please.
He didn't listen.
For me, Payne Stewart was my hero. So we mentioned it in one of the early podcasts that as a kid, I would wear knickers or +4s, depending on what you call them, and some of the events I would play in, and wore the Kangol cap to match, and he was my hero, and it was so unfortunate that he perished
20 years
in that plane accident.
This year.
That was a tough time. He was a big hero of mine, and another guy who had lots of personality and really gave back. He had the band with
Bluefish, right?
It was Jake Trout and the Flounders. Yeah. So with Peter Jacobson and Mark Lai and
Hootie the Blowfish is the real band.
Yeah,
kind of more,
but they do play with him now.
Right.
So, but yeah, miss him a lot. So
What about a current player?
Current player, it's certainly Tiger is fun to watch. He moves the needle so selfishly. When he does well, the golf business does well, and so it's not that I'm a huge Tiger guy, but he makes golf more interesting when he's playing in it. So
for sure,
I would probably throw his name out there first.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to bring this episode of Hosel Rockets to a close. We want to thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week. If I can thank you for visiting our sponsor, MortonGolfSales.com. They help keep us on the air, and you can save 12% on your first order with coupon code ROCKETS. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.